I found a niche inside the historiography of the profession, that is the profession, that part of the profession that talked about community studies and how communities were building blocks of larger communities such as states and nations, and noticed that there was no research on small towns, small communities. My interests are in the revolutionary and post-revolutionary peopling of the territories east of the Mississippi, with a special focus on the westward migration of New Englanders. This is a very nice federal style, gambrel roofed, central chimney house that Oliver Phelps, one of the great investors in the Phelps-Gorham Purchase that opened up central and western New York State, bought in 1789. I started my research and discovered that in many, many cases, the city planning, that is the village planning, the community planning, in which my father's family were part of, was there at the very beginning of westward expansion in the post-revolutionary era. And looking back to the 17th century and the early 18th century, it is clear that Philadelphia, it is clear that Boston, it is clear that New York itself preceded country life. This pattern of urban planting as spearheads into the wilderness, as Richard Wade has argued, and which I think I've demonstrated in my own work, is a phenomenon that historians had failed to notice because they gave so much emphasis to farmers and so much emphasis to trader-trappers. What is interesting to watch and to gauge is the way in which the pioneers in this first generation of settlers who stuck in these particular communities, who didn't keep moving on, is how much they re-engineered their old places in the new settings. One reads all the primary sources and all the secondary sources to get a feeling for how it went with these people and what they were thinking, why they went west, what they did when they got there, what satisfied them, what didn't satisfy them, how they changed their lives perhaps, or how they kept the old ways and tried to make it into a new community, and otherwise try to figure out how American culture moved west along with the people. You can argue from the present that the values of the nation that we see here today, which include materialism, humanism or humanity, which includes elements of religiosity or spiritualism, spiritualistic aspects to American culture, and a strong sense of local community, have its roots in the westward movements of people who are constantly recreating communities. Without studying the frontier, we won't know who we are, because we did not start as urbanites. We started as country people. This country was born in the country, and it became urban in the early 20th century as people migrated from farm and rural life into urban life and learned to be urban people, but they brought with them the values and attitudes of people who came out of this culture.